I am so excited, you guys. I'm filming it early, but I am so excited. Wow. Oh my God. What was that, girl? Ooh, show that. Ugh. Let's try this again because I already messed that up. I am so excited, you guys. I am pre-filming in advance my Valentine's video because, of course, this is the Femme High Holy Day, and I am so excited. So let us get into it. Also, aren't these earrings everything? This is my 30... Is this the 31? And this is the 13? I'm not sure. Anyway, I made it because 13 is my lucky number and 31 is the age I am. So I wanted cute little earrings that I like handmade myself. Thank you. And then I like put glitter on them so they're nice and sparkly. I'm so silly. I'm in such a good mood. So I'm so excited about this video. I've been wanting to do this forever. So I thought now is as good a time as any. I just wanted to talk about a few things. I do have some questions that people asked me, so I will be answering those as well. But mostly this is just kind of gonna be like my thoughts and feelings and all that jazz, as they say. I'm so excited about this whole thing that I'm doing now and doing videos that are unscripted because I've been wanting to do more unscripted. I've just been wanting to film more content in general. And I just love that I've been so excited to film, which is always a good thing, I think. I just love, okay, I know that's so weird, but this is the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I just love the smell of this. Like, I don't, probably not something I should be smelling, to be honest, but I just really enjoy the scent of it. I don't know what it is. Oh, I put on my primer before I put on my eyes. This hair and this like top, I'm looking a little old lady, but I don't care. Okay, so one thing I really wanted to talk about today is just kind of like the whole, like why Valentine's Day is such a big deal to me. Because I mean, this may be hard to believe, especially with my current aesthetic, but I used to be very anti-Valentine's Day. And it also may be hard to believe that I used to be very anti-pink. Most of my wardrobe until like literally very recently was all black. Maybe a little bit of like green and purple, but like largely very much all black. And I have since branched out, to say the least. And now my makeup has definitely become more colorful, we'll say. But it's a lot more pink. And a lot of the stuff that I like DIY is more, not so much, well, it's pink, it's got some orange in it, it's got some red. You know, I'm really branching out into a lot of colors that I otherwise would not have used. And that is something that's very different for me and very interesting for me. And like I said, I used to be very anti pink. I used to be very anti Valentine's Day. I used to be very anti all of it. And I don't really know why. I think it's because I was like, you know, I never really had a partner for Valentine's Day, so I guess the whole like that whole aspect of it kind of like frustrated me because I'm like, well, I'm single, so what do I care? And it's all about love. But when I realized I was a lesbian, I kind of, and especially like femme lesbian, I was like, oh, actually, Valentine's Day has like a deeper meaning. It is the Femme High Holy Day, which was a quote from Leslie Feinberg, who I've talked about in another video. Huge fan, obviously. I think, do not quote me on this, I think it's a quote from Stone Butch Blues. I will correct myself in the edits if I'm wrong, but I think that is where that quote comes from about it being the Femme High Holy Day. And I mean, it makes sense because it's all about hearts and love and cutesy shit. Cutesy shit. But it's so funny because it just used to be like very much not my vibe. And so I'm so like different from where, and that's like the biggest thing that I've like realized about myself is I am in such a different place than I was when I was younger as far as like how I feel about all of these things. And it's just, I don't even know when it happened. It's like it snuck up on me, to be honest. And I'm not mad about it, obviously, but it is kind of wild to think about. And it's funny for like my mother because she's not used to me liking pink. So she's kind of like, what the hell happened here? Also, fun fact about pink. This is going to be, I think this is going to look a little more red. One of my friends asked me why pink and red go so well together, which I thought was a really interesting question. And as someone who, especially because like pink and red are like very much Valentine's Day colors, but as someone who went to school for graphic design. I went to school for art. So I know a little bit about color theory. That was like one of the classes we had to take. Super, super fun for me. That's where I learned like what colors mean. And I mean, mostly in a Western sense, let's be honest, because like colors mean different things for different people. But one of my things, I started thinking about this because I was very, very curious what the answer was and like what, and this is honestly, this is just going to be my opinion. This is not going to be like 100% fact based on whatever science, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not like a professional. I am just someone who loves colors, and I do know a bit about colors just like from color theory, but I'm not like by any means an expert. So don't take me as like, you know, the color expert or whatever. But I think the reason pink and red go so well together, at least my understanding, is like pink is a shade of red. Like if you add white to red, you get pink. And so it's, they go well together because they're kind of like made from each other. Well, not kind of, literally made from each other. But I know like not every color goes well together. Like obviously red and blue is kind of like a jarring color. I remember from my color theory days, there was all these kinds of like colors that were, what was the word? Of course, now I can't remember, but colors that like complementary colors that complemented each other, and then colors that were like not complementary and kind of cancel each other out. Like red and green, I think are considered complementary because they're like opposite on the color wheel, which is why Christmas colors, I think, work the way they do. But I think or was it red and, no, because it's blue and orange and yellow and purple? Something like that. Anyway, the point of this is complementary colors are basically just like colors that do exactly as they say on the tin. They complement each other, they work well together for, one reason or another. And it's just so interesting to like learn all of that and know all of that just from like schooling. I will say I mean obviously red and pink are not like complementary colors per se. They're just like shades of each other. So I think that is part of the reason they go well together. I did already kind of say that. But I think that like I don't know, it's interesting. I would love to know like if there's any like bigger reason than just the obvious, because that's kind of what I would think about, like their I keep saying complementary now because that's just in my head. They are shades of each other and that makes them go well together. This tape, oh my god, this is so pretty. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, obviously this being Valentine's Day and the Femme High Holy Day, is of course, I have to talk about my favorite part about being a femme, my favorite part about butches. I have to talk about all of that because that's what this channel is. So where to begin? Okay, so my favorite part about being femme. I mean, is it cheeky to just say butches? Like that's my favorite part of being femme, obviously. I feel like it's a simple answer, but I also feel like it's the most honest answer. So it kind of like, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct answer. I'm actually not mad about that. Now I just have to go, oh, there is eyeshadow on my finger. Love that. Oh, only me, huh? Oh my goodness. And I don't have any kind of like tissue or, because I'm not that prepared.
1 hour later.
See if I can use the back of this maybe. Oh my goodness. How did I do that? Okay. Okay, thankfully that came off. Whew! Okay, that was almost bad. Oh my goodness. While I get a new piece of tape, I can talk about the other things, the other like not question but also thought that I had, which was about my favorite thing about butches. I mean, again, this is another thing that's like, it's my favorite thing is everything. And I love how I ask myself these questions and I'm like, how do I answer them? Like, I don't know. Did you not have anything prepared, girl? Like, this is your idea. This is your video, girl. Maybe be a little more prepared. I don't know. I mean, again, it's one of those things where the simplest answer is also the correct one. The answer is everything. I love everything. I came up with this question for myself and then fully don't answer it. I was like, well, my favorite part is everything. And like, yeah, that's true, but that's not exactly a satisfying answer. Like, come on now. And again, I asked myself this question. I didn't have to ask myself this question. I probably could have saved myself a lot of time by not. Oh, okay. Just stuck that right in my eye. It's like I could have saved myself a lot of time by not bothering to ask myself that question. But I, wanted to make a point to put in the video, like, what I like about, and granted, I've made videos about it at this point. I have made full love letters at this point. If you don't know to some degree, like, what even is my content at this point. However, I'm the one who asked me this. Like, nobody else was asking me this. So you gotta come up with something better than just like, if you know, you know. I think for me, the answer to the question, what is my favorite thing about being femme, besides butches, is I really appreciate the community that I have surrounded myself with, the community that I have found myself in. I really, truly, that is something that is so deeply meaningful to me. I really greatly appreciate the community of butches and femmes that I have come to be a part of and feel very validated in and very adored in. And that to me is like one of the greatest things is like this community has been so, so amazing. And just, finding other femmes who have such a deep love and appreciation and respect and adoration for butches and studs. And like, it's the like-minded people who get it, who understand exactly how I feel and what I feel. And just, that whole aspect of it has been so, so wonderful to me. So that is kind of one of my favorite parts because it just means so much to have this community. Because to be honest with you, I really didn't have this community before. And part of that was like my own doing. Like I didn't actively try to be a part of the community when I was younger. I kind of was just very like, oh, I'm going to be on my own and all that. And that's not very fun. I didn't want to be a part of the community, or it's not that I didn't want to be. I didn't feel like I could be because the way I understood community at that point in my life was like, oh, you have to go out, you have to be, sociable, let's say. And that was not something I was particularly interested in. And I'm really still not. And so finding the community on Tumblr that I have has been really, really meaningful and special to me. That is one thing I will say is like, I definitely feel very, very connected to this community and it means the world to me because I didn't have that before. Now, obviously that's not like my only favorite thing. There's other things I really love about being a femme. I love the relationship I have with butches. I love being a protector of butches and studs. I love, loving butches and studs. I know that's like really obvious, but that is part of it too. Like that is something I do enjoy and I love about being a femme. I love the idea of being a home to a butch or a stud and just like, being that safe space in a world that does not often, let's be honest, appreciate them. Like that's something that I want and I crave, and that adds to the yearning. I will say this is probably one of the first Valentine's days that I'm like single, but I'm still excited for it. Even though this is not technically the first Valentine's Day that I like was out as a femme. I think that was like a year or two ago. I don't even, honestly, time has just become so wild these days that I don't even know. So one of the questions I received was from my close personal friend. I'm not going to name her. She knows who she is. And it's like a very long question, but I'll start with the beginning, which was, I would love to hear your input and knowledge. How would you handle your family as they continue to invalidate my sexuality as bi because I'm married to a man? They continually poke fun, and it's made me super resentful to my family. So that's part one of the question. I mean, look, you and I have had this conversation. I think your family's trash. I think anybody who disrespects your identity, and you know what, this goes actually to anyone who is in this experience themselves, anyone whose family disrespects them, your family's trash. I'm so sorry to tell you. I'm sure you know, to be honest, because like there's no way not to know. But if your family disrespects you and your identity and acts like, oh, it's not real, like that's trash to me. Like there's no getting around that. How would I react? I mean, I personally, I would cut them off. I know that's hard. I know that's easier said than done. But I also know that like, I don't know. I mean, there's just a certain point where when people disrespect you, you have to cut them off because they're just going to keep doing it. And, you know, if they feel like, oh, well, and you know what? The sad thing is, there is people in this community, and we know this, there are people in this community who don't respect people who are bi, regardless of who they're dating, because they view it as like, well, if you're dating a man, then you're straight. If you're dating a woman, then like you're only a lesbian. It's like, no. So this idea that like just because you're married to a man, that somehow makes you less bi is really frustrating because I know it's something that a lot of people deal with. And it's like, I I don't know. I don't personally get it. And I listen, I will be the first to admit when I was younger, I was not always the most intelligent about this. When I was in high school, I was very, very bad about all of these things. I was not good at, you know, understanding it. But I have since learned and spoken to people who are bi and listened to people who are bi and realized, like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. Like, just because you're dating someone who happens to be of the same gender or a different gender doesn't make you less bi. And I think that is something that you have to, I don't know. I hate to say like you need to cut them off, but just from what I know and have heard, I don't think there's any hope for them. And you know what? And there's a lot of reasons that I won't get into, obviously, because this is like a very public video. But, you know, suffice to say, look, if you're not going to respect, and they're not going to watch this video, but if they did, I would say, you know, you have to understand it's not about you. You know what I mean? And that's to them, not to you. It is not about you. Someone else's sexuality has nothing to do with you. And honestly, this is like a video all its own. Like other people's sexuality, other people's gender identity has nothing to do with you. Mind your business. And to anyone who wants to be like, oh, well, you know, you're shoving it in my face. No, no one's shoving anything in your face. You can change the channel. You can choose not to listen. You don't listen to anyone else when they talk about shit. So, like, let's not pretend like you're listening now. Like, you know? So, I don't know. It's unfortunate. And I do feel for you in that situation because I've had like people in my family who have not understood. And I had to cut, like, especially with my being trans, and I had to cut those people out of my life. And so, like, on my dad's side of the family, I do not speak to them because they do not respect who I am and, you know, what I'm about. And so, like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, I can't have people in my life who don't respect me and appreciate me as I am. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put myself through that. And I don't think anyone should. And so, like, if that's something you're dealing with, then you know, I don't think they're worth anything. And especially not putting the rest of your family through that, like your kid and your husband, like they don't need to be put through that kind of crap. Like clearly these people that are unfortunately, you know, your family, and it's like, we don't choose our birth family, but we get to choose our family and who we want to interact with and who we want to view as people who should be in our lives. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is to me. I totally missed that the second part of the question was, how do I validate myself and set boundaries? I mean, honestly, the best boundary is just cutting them off. Like, my thing is this: if you can't respect me, then you don't deserve to have access to me, period. Like, I don't think it's that hard, especially like, people always say this, like, your parents, your family, people you're related to should not be your first bullies, but often they are. And my thing is like, if that's the case, then they do not deserve to have access to you. They do not deserve to have access to your kid. They do not deserve to have access to your husband. They don't deserve to have access to any of it. If you can't give someone the basic respect and dignity that they deserve, they do not deserve access to you. And that, you know, that's anything that's bi, gay, trans, whatever it is. If someone can't respect who you are and what you feel and what you know yourself to be, if they can't respect that, then they don't deserve to have access to you, plain and simple, to me. And so the boundary is not going near them. But if you have to, if you feel that need to be around them for whatever reason, or you want to, I think just being able to separate yourself from that, like, if it happens where they're like disrespecting you, being like, you know what, if this continues, I'm gonna leave. If this continues, you're never gonna see me again. Like, that's also a way to set a boundary, is be like, look, if this doesn't stop, then this is it. I'm cutting you off. So, I don't know if that would work. I don't know, because again, I don't know all of the details of the dynamic, but that would be my suggestion, to be honest, is to be like, look, either you learn to respect me and respect what I'm telling you, or I can go. I don't need to be here. I don't need to put myself through this. I don't need to put anyone else in my life through this. Like, you know, that's just what it is. It's not something, I don't think that blood relation is worth making yourself suffer. You know what I mean? I don't think it's worth, and it's a different story if someone who is younger or dependent. Those are different stories, and oftentimes that can be a lot more complicated. And in that case, look, I hate to say this because I know this is not a popular opinion in the community, but if it's not safe for you to be out, don't be out. I'm very much a person who's like, if you can be out loud and proud, do it. But if you're in a situation where it's not safe for you, please focus on your safety first. I know not feeling like you have community can be really damaging. Trust me, I know that. And I'm all for like finding your community in any way you can, but like, please do not put yourself in a situation, if you are dependent on people who are not going to respect your identity, don't put yourself in a situation where it causes you issues with safety. Like, that is where I do, like, definitely recommend, look, maybe some battles just uh can be fought at a different time. It's very much that, like, pick your battles. Some things you do not need to get into now. Wait until, if there is a way you can get into a situation where you aren't dependent on them, or can get out of that situation, then you can have the conversation about like coming out and like all those things. But if you are someone who is in a situation where you are dependent on people who are not good to you and do not understand and do not respect you, like, don't put yourself in danger just to be out. It's not going to be worth you put, and it's sad that that's still a reality for some people, and I hate that. But I want to say, like, take care of yourself first. Worry about, how you're gonna come out later after you're in a situation where it's safe for you to do so. Because I recognize that it is not safe for everyone to be out. It's not safe for everyone to be open. And that is something that, like, I have a lot of privilege in, and I recognize that because my mother has always been very respectful of me and understands me. And even, 4 times later coming out, she's like, okay, like it, sure. Like she's not bothered by it. So that's just my 2 cents. As much as you can set boundaries, but if you're in a position where you just can't do that, then don't put yourself in a dangerous position. That's all I'm going to say. So the next part of the question is all about me, which I love to talk about me. Obviously, that's what this channel is. So their question was, at what age did I realize my sexuality? That was the first part of the question. The answer to that is kind of complicated because it was a few times. The very, very first time I knew that I was not as straight as I thought. I think 13 was kind of the first time I had an inkling. I didn't really know what it meant or like what it was, but that was kind of the first time where I really was like, hmm, I'm 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 thinking some thoughts here. So I think it was like 13, and then I was about 22, 21, 22 when I realized I was trans, and then I was 27 when I came out as bi, and then I was 28, 29 when I realized I was a lesbian. And the second part of the question was like, how did you realize you were no longer interested in men because you had dated men in the past? That is, you know what, to be honest with you, I was always, not always, I was for a long time one of those women who was like, God, I cannot stand men. I'm so tired of men. Why do I have to be attracted to them? Fully that. It was for quite a long time that I was like, I was over men, over all the drama nonsense, drama and conflama, as it were. But it was not until, actually, you know what? I will say, when I came out as trans, I kind of had like a awakening in terms of like the possibility of like a different attraction. I wasn't actually there yet, but I will say I kind of felt like, my identity at that point after I came out as trans was kind of like, I'm not attracted to women now, or I didn't think I was. But I was like, I will say if I fell in love with a woman, I wouldn't say no to that. Like if, I was like, if that happened, seems like a kind of an impossibility, but if for any reason I did, I'm not going to say no to that. And that's kind of how I left my sexuality for a long time. And then, I did have occasional crushes on women, throughout all that time, and they were always confusing. um, because I was like, I don't understand. I've always known myself to be attracted to men, so I was really, really confused by that. And I think there is a little, I know people say it's not actually a thing, and like comp het maybe, I've heard different things that it might have been created by a turf, so that makes me a little like sketch. But I do think to an extent there is kind of a thing where, you know, you are expected to just be attracted to men. And, in my case, being someone who has always been feminine, whether I liked it or not, whether I had any control over it or not, there was always this thing about like everyone just kind of assumed that I would be someone who was into men because I was so feminine always. And so it was never like, I don't know. I don't want to say that I felt like, oh, I must be because everyone says I am, but sometimes I do think about that. I wonder, like, did that play a factor or was I really attracted to them? I don't know. I don't know if I will ever know the true answer to that because, it's like maybe, possibly. I don't know. I don't know. The other part of that obviously was like, when did you realize you were attracted to, when you were no longer attracted to men? Like I said, I did have a period where I identified as bi, and I said, but there was after a time, it was during the pandemic, actually, I will say that, where I really felt like, okay, I don't any longer have any attraction to men. And that's kind of where I really started to realize, okay, so this is more than just like, bi, because now I have no attraction to men whatsoever. And I had like I don't want to say difficulties accepting it. I would say I accepted it pretty readily, but there were times where I was like, I don't know, am I allowed to call myself this? Like, as if I have to get permission from some lesbian grand high witch or something like that. But there was kind of this feeling I had for me personally that was like, I did have a feeling of like, am I allowed to call myself this? Is this okay? And that was kind of difficult for a time because I didn't know, like, kind of felt like, you know, is this okay to call myself this? Because I've liked men, because this is very, very new for me. And I second guessed it a lot. And I doubted myself, but I knew, I just knew, especially like I said, during the pandemic, I had been on I've been on every dating app ever. I've done a whole video on every dating app and the weirdness of every dating app. And I just knew I didn't have an attraction to men anymore. I hadn't had it for a while, but the pandemic kind of solidified it for me that I definitely just there was nothing left there. As time has gone on, now I'm so grateful and so happy to be who I am. Now I've like definitely gone more into learning and getting to know more things and being a part of the community. I think that's helped me a lot, to be honest, because it helped me discover, and again, this will probably come out more in my femme journey video, but like being actually a part of the community and like talking to actual femmes and butches and becoming friends with people and like really getting to know people, that's what really like made it clear to me, because I was like, I don't want to be a part of anything else but this. You know what I mean? Like having people in your life who get it and who get how you feel and get your to me there is nothing better than having femme friends who understand your love of butches, because so many people just do not get it. They do not appreciate it. But I do love and appreciate that my fellow femmes really understand it. Like they're like, oh no, I get exactly what you're talking about. Like everything that you're saying that you love, I love too. I understand. I get I get I get what you're saying. So it's like one of those things where having the community really helped me fully realize myself a lot more and helped me not conceptualize it, but helped me like put words to what I was feeling, because sometimes I got to be honest with you, sometimes it's very hard in a vacuum to know how to say how you're feeling. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can be very, very difficult in by yourself to find the words, to find the language to explain how you feel. It can be very, very challenging and very disheartening too, I'll be honest, when you're on your own to try and like explain what you're feeling, what all this is. And so to have a community of people who are like, no, I get you, I feel the exact same way, it's like, oh, okay, this is like, there are others out there who feel this, who understand this. I'm not alone. Like, this is something that other people feel and other people think. And I don't know, it's comforting. It's helpful to know that you have a community of people who understand you, who feel the exact same way you do. So that helped a lot for me. The other part of the question was they were saying like they are attracted to their husband, obviously, but if they had it to do over again, they would have preferred to not be with men. And that I understand. And like they were saying how it wasn't until they got married that they really felt like they were able to be open and explore different things with their sexuality, which that does happen sometimes, where it's like, okay, I am now in a position where I am safe to explore myself and explore who I am, because I'm not with these people in my family who don't get it and who don't respect me. And so I completely understand that. I would say, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not here to tell anyone how to live their life. If you're happy in the situation you're in, that's what matters ultimately to me. But yeah, I mean, I get not being attracted to men, or, being attracted to one man in your case, I think that's totally valid. Again, your sexuality journey and your journey with self-discovery and all of that, it's totally has to be up to you. I mean, it has to be what works for you, what makes you happy at the end of the day, because no one else has to live your life. No one else has to wake up every morning and be you except you. So you have to be the one to do what makes you happy. And it's great that you can explore these things, and I hope that you do explore them more and figure out what you want for yourself. But, and it doesn't mean that anything has to change in your life. It just means, you know, you're exploring yourself and who you are and what you want out of life. And I don't think that's ever a bad thing myself. Do what works for you. That's ultimately my advice always, is do what works for you. Do what makes you happy. Do what seems like the thing for you to do. You know what I mean? Like that's always going to be my advice. Do what makes yourself happy. Because if you're not doing that, then, life's too short not to. I'm sorry. And as someone who, like, you know, I did transition, and it was because I was not happy trying to be someone else. And oh my God, I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, hopefully this doesn't ruin everything. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Ooh, did that turn out cute? It did. Okay, there's one little extra part that I don't care for, but it's okay. Oh, yay. Oh, okay. Actually, wait. I think I did something here. I popped off. That's so cute. Okay, I'm living now. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. I am going to do lashes. Don't worry. So, I mean, the bottom line for me is just like, you have to do what makes you happy. Ultimately, do what makes you happy. So the other thing that I was asked, the last question that I'm going to answer since I'm doing my lashes, is what is my type in butches, and like what is my like must-haves or whatever. Here's the thing. I do have, wait, let's see. Okay, so this goes on this side. I had a moment, I was like, wait, how do I do this? I do have a type. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I don't have a type. No, it's not just like butches. That's it. I do have a type in terms of like aesthetic things I look for. For a long time, I very much would have said like fuck boy with a heart of gold was my type, because I do have an attraction to that, but I don't think that's what I need to do now that I'm 31. I'm trying to be a wife, not a side piece. So we're not going to do that anymore. Not that I ever did it, but now we're really not going to do it. So I would say my type is, I mean, obviously someone who makes me smile, someone who makes me laugh, someone who I can talk to, someone who is complimentary to me in terms of like we both want the same things in terms of like a relationship. I am monogamous, so I would prefer someone monogamous. I've dated a poly person. It was not a great experience for me. So like, things like that we have to be on the same page about. Someone who, wants to get married would be great, because I'd hate to like not be on the same page about marriage, because that's a pretty big one for me. I don't really want children, so that is not, I think, what happened? Let go. Go onto my eyelashes. Okay. I don't super want children, so that's like not a thing. Well, I have a thing for like dark curly hair and dark eyes. I don't know why. Those are both just something I'm into. But, someone who supports me, who is passionate, who, we both want the same things, and we both, someone who's super supportive, because I am very much that person. So I need that energy back. I need someone who also is going to support me in my dreams, not just me supporting them in their dreams. Like, we have to support each other. You know what I mean? Like, very that vibe. Very like, at this point in my life, I just want someone who appreciates me, someone who we make each other happy. You know what I mean? And also my type varies. Like, there's definitely like my type, and then, people you fall for don't always match your type. A lot of times it has. I've been really good at attracting like people who are my type. I've been very good at that lately, which is really interesting to me. My type has to become people who are interested in me. But I will say, as far as like must-haves, I don't really have. I mean, must be attracted to me. That's like a big must-have. But like other than that, I don't know.
One eternity later.
I mean, they're sisters. They're not cousins. Oh wait, no, that's not right. They're cousins. They're not sisters.
That is not correct.
Oh my God, I love this makeup look. This was so much fun. I'm so glad that I got to do this and I got to talk all about the Femme High Holy Day, Valentine's Day, and I got to do a cute little look. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like this video, leave a comment down below. Tell me your favorite thing about Valentine's Day. Tell me your favorite thing about butches, studs, femmes, all of the above. And of course, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. I am, of course, on Patreon, so you can patronize me. What is that? What is that called? Patron. You can become my patron and make it possible for me to just be paid to be gay, because that really is the dream, isn't it? Bye. I actually feel so pretty. As well I should, to be honest with you. I'm so silly. All right, bye. Mwah.